trust built on familiar ground. Maplewood, New Jersey was the kind of town people moved to when they believed the hardest parts of life were behind them. The streets were quiet, but not empty. Children rode bicycles until sunset, porch lights turned on at the same hour every evening. Neighbors waved, smiled, and returned to their routines without asking too many questions. Nothing dramatic ever happened there. And that was the point. For Ethan Miller, Maplewood represented stability. At 37, Ethan had spent years carefully assembling a life that felt predictable and safe. He worked as a project manager for a mid-sized construction firm in Newark, overseeing commercial renovations and municipal projects. His job demanded long hours and constant problem-solving, but it paid well enough to afford a comfortable home and a sense of security he had never known growing up. Ethan believed in structure, schedules, plans, clear boundaries. He married Lauren because she seemed to balance him. Lauren Miller was 34, thoughtful, warm, and openly emotional in ways Ethan was not. She had once thrived in the fast-paced world of marketing, but after their marriage, she stepped back from her career. What started as a short break quietly turned into years. She told herself she was content. Most days, she even believed it. From the outside, they looked like a solid couple. They hosted small dinners, they attended neighborhood events, they spoke respectfully, even during disagreements. But there was a silence in their marriage that neither of them wanted to acknowledge. The third pillar of Ethan's life was Ryan Cole. Ryan had been Ethan's best friend since college. They met during freshman year at Rutgers, assigned randomly as roommates. Ethan was reserved and methodical. Ryan was outgoing, confident, and impulsive. Where Ethan planned, Ryan reacted. Where Ethan hesitated, Ryan jumped. The friendship worked because it felt complete. Ryan was the kind of person who made people feel seen. He remembered stories. He laughed easily. He never appeared burdened by doubt. Ethan admired that, trusted it. Ryan remained a constant presence even after college ended. He stood beside Ethan at his wedding. He helped them move into their Maplewood house. He showed up unannounced with beer, stories, and a sense of familiarity that never faded. Ethan never questioned Ryan's presence. He never thought he needed to. The subtle change. The first changes were too small to name. Ryan began stopping by more often, sometimes when Ethan wasn't home yet. He claimed he was in the area or just checking in. Lauren welcomed the company. She appreciated the conversation. The house felt less empty when someone else was there. Ethan noticed, but he didn't mind. Ryan had always been part of their life. Lauren, however, noticed something else. Ryan asked questions Ethan didn't. When Lauren talked about feeling disconnected from her old career, Ryan listened without interrupting. When she mentioned feeling invisible during the day, Ryan didn't offer solutions, he offered understanding. He didn't rush the conversation or minimize her feelings. Lauren loved Ethan, but love didn't always translate into attention. His workdays were long. His mind stayed occupied even at home. Conversations often ended with exhaustion rather than resolution. Lauren told herself this was normal. Marriage settled, life slowed. That didn't mean something was wrong, but she began to look forward to Ryan's visits. Emotional lines. Text messages came next. At first, they were casual. A joke about an old college memory, a question about a recipe, a shared frustration about traffic or weather. Lauren didn't hide the messages. There was nothing to hide. Then the tone shifted. Ryan asked how she was doing. Not how the house was, not how Ethan was, but her. Lauren answered honestly. She talked about feeling stuck, about watching other people move forward while she stayed still. Ryan responded with empathy. "I get that. That sounds exhausting. You deserve more than that." Those words settled deep. Ethan noticed Lauren smiling at her phone more often. He assumed it was friends or family. He didn't ask. Trust made questions feel unnecessary. Lauren didn't notice when the line was crossed. There was no dramatic moment, no sudden confession, just a gradual emotional closeness that felt natural, justified, and safe, until it wasn't. The first secret. The first time Lauren met Ryan alone without telling Ethan, she convinced herself it wasn't a secret. They met for coffee in a town a few miles away, a neutral place, public, harmless. They talked for hours about regrets, about missed opportunities, about who they used to be. There was no physical contact, no flirting that couldn't be explained away. But when Lauren drove home, she felt something unfamiliar, guilt mixed with excitement. She didn't tell Ethan. That omission became the foundation of everything that followed. Ryan's perspective. Ryan knew exactly what he was doing. Not at first, or at least that's how he later described it to himself. He had always admired Lauren. Her warmth, her intelligence, her ability to connect emotionally. Ethan had built a life Ryan secretly envied: the house, the marriage, the calm certainty. Ryan's own life felt scattered by comparison. He moved often, changed jobs, avoided long-term commitments. Watching Ethan settle into stability made Ryan feel both proud and restless. When Lauren opened up to him, Ryan felt needed. That feeling mattered more than he wanted to admit. He told himself he wasn't betraying Ethan. He wasn't stealing anything. He was just being there. But he also knew this: if Ethan knew the truth, everything would end. And Ryan wasn't ready for that. Crossing the boundary. The affair didn't begin with passion. It began with rationalization. Lauren told herself Ethan was emotionally absent. Ryan told himself Ethan didn't appreciate what he had. Both told themselves no one was getting hurt. They met again, then again. The first kiss happened quietly, almost apologetically. No urgency, no promises. Afterward, neither of them spoke for several minutes. Lauren cried. Ryan reassured her. They didn't stop. The relationship stayed hidden, carefully contained in neutral locations, private messages, and carefully deleted call logs. It existed in a separate space, away from real life, but secrets have weight. Lauren carried it home with her. Ryan carried it into conversations with Ethan, smiling as if nothing had changed. Ethan noticed the distance growing but couldn't identify its source. He worked longer hours. Lauren withdrew emotionally. The house grew quieter. Still, Ethan trusted. The discovery. Ethan discovered the affair by accident. One evening, Lauren left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. A notification appeared. Ryan's name. The message was short, intimate, undeniable. Ethan stared at the screen longer than he realized. His first reaction wasn't anger, it was disbelief. The room felt smaller, the familiar walls suddenly unfamiliar. He didn't move until Lauren came back downstairs. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't accuse. He asked one question: how long? Lauren broke down. Ryan's name fell into the room like a dropped glass. That moment marked the end of Ethan's certainty. After the truth. The days that followed moved slowly. Ethan barely slept. He replayed memories, searching for signs he had missed. Every interaction with Ryan now felt false, rehearsed. Lauren apologized repeatedly. She cried, she explained, she admitted fault but struggled to articulate how it had gone so far. Ethan listened, but listening didn't mean forgiving. He told Lauren he needed time. Then he called Ryan. The meeting. They met at a bar they had known for years. Ryan arrived first. He looked nervous. Ethan looked calm. Too calm. Ryan apologized immediately. He called it a mistake, a lapse in judgment. He promised it was over. Ethan said very little. The conversation ended without resolution, but fear followed Ryan home. He realized something Ethan hadn't said out loud. Ethan wasn't just hurt, he was unpredictable, and unpredictable people make dangerous decisions. The night everything changed. 3 days later, Ethan told Lauren he was going to stay with a coworker to clear his head. He never arrived. Late that night, Ryan received a call. Ethan's voice was steady. "We need to talk." They met at an unfinished construction site Ryan had access to through work. Isolated, dark, empty. No witnesses, no cameras. The argument escalated quickly. Accusations, regret, fear. Ryan panicked. What happened next lasted less than a minute, but it changed everything. By the time Ryan realized what he had done, Ethan was no longer breathing. The weight of what was done. Ryan Cole didn't remember driving home. Later, when detectives would ask him about that night, he would struggle to describe the details between leaving the construction site and arriving at his apartment. Time didn't disappear, it folded in on itself, compressed by panic and disbelief. What he remembered clearly was the silence. Ethan had stopped moving almost immediately. There was no dramatic struggle, no drawn-out confrontation, just a moment when words lost meaning, when anger tipped into fear, and fear into irreversible action. Ryan stood there longer than he should have. He waited for something to change. It didn't. The first lie. Ryan's first instinct was not to call for help, it was to survive. He checked Ethan's pulse again, already knowing the truth. His hands shook, his breath came in shallow bursts, but his mind was racing with calculations. Calling the police would mean explaining everything, the affair, the confrontation, the betrayal that led them there. It would mean losing his freedom, his reputation, and the last fragments of the life he had been pretending to control. So he did what panic told him to do. He erased what he could. Ryan wiped down surfaces he had touched. He straightened his clothes. He checked the area for anything he might have dropped. The construction site was unfinished, unlit, and unofficially accessed, a place few people had reason to be after hours. Before leaving, he looked at Ethan one last time. "I didn't mean this," he whispered, though the words were useless now. Then he walked away. Lauren's longest night. Lauren didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed long after midnight, staring at the door, waiting for Ethan to come back angry, broken, demanding answers she wasn't prepared to give. Her phone stayed silent. She told herself he needed space, that he was cooling off, that tomorrow would bring clarity. By morning, the unease had hardened into fear. Ethan hadn't answered calls. His coworker confirmed he never arrived. His car wasn't where he said it would be. Lauren reported him missing just after noon. Her voice shook as she spoke to the dispatcher, though she tried to sound composed. She described Ethan's routine, his habits, his reliability. She emphasized how unlike him it was to disappear without explanation. She did not mention Ryan. Not yet. The investigation begins. Detective Michael Harper had worked missing person cases before. Most resolved themselves quickly: misunderstandings, impulsive trips, brief escapes from stress. But Ethan Miller's case felt different from the start. Ethan had no history of leaving abruptly, no financial irregularities, no signs of preparation. His phone last pinged near Maplewood the night before. His car was found parked where he'd left it. Harper interviewed Lauren first. She was cooperative, emotional, exhausted. She spoke about Ethan's work stress, their recent arguments, his need for space. Harper listened carefully. He took notes. Then he asked about his close relationships. Lauren hesitated. "His best friend," she said quietly. "Ryan." Ryan under pressure. When Harper contacted Ryan, he agreed to meet immediately. That eagerness raised the first red flag. Ryan described Ethan as upset but reasonable. He said they'd talked at the bar, that emotions were high, but nothing seemed out of control. He claimed he hadn't heard from Ethan since. His tone was calm, controlled, too controlled. Harper noted the lack of visible concern, not indifference, something more deliberate, like someone performing the role of a worried friend. Still, suspicion alone wasn't evidence. The guilt sets in. Ryan's life unraveled quietly. He stopped sleeping. Every sound startled him. He replayed the night endlessly, imagining alternate outcomes, conversations that might have changed everything. Lauren began calling him more often. At first he avoided her. Then he answered. She was frantic, grieving, confused. Ryan offered comfort. He hated himself for how natural it felt. Lauren asked questions he couldn't answer. Where would Ethan go? Why wouldn't he call? Ryan repeated reassurances that rang hollow even to his own ears. Each lie added weight. Cracks in the story. 2 weeks into the investigation, inconsistencies surfaced. Cell phone records showed a brief call between Ethan and Ryan the night Ethan disappeared, a detail Ryan hadn't mentioned. When asked about it, Ryan said he'd forgotten, that the call was unimportant. Harper didn't argue. He wrote it down. Then came the security logs. The construction company reported after-hours access at one of their sites, Ryan's credentials used late at night. Ryan claimed he had stopped by to check equipment earlier that evening. The timeline didn't align. Pressure increased. Lauren's realization. Lauren began to suspect the truth before she was ready to admit it. Ryan's behavior changed. His reassurance felt forced. His presence made her uneasy. The comfort he once offered now felt heavy, suffocating. One night, she confronted him. "Tell me the truth," she said. "Did you see him that night?" Ryan hesitated too long. That pause answered everything. Lauren pulled away, fear flooding her chest. The affair, the betrayal, all of it paled compared to what she now suspected. Ryan denied harming Ethan. He insisted nothing happened. He begged her to trust him. But trust had already destroyed one life. Lauren contacted Detective Harper the next morning.
The evidence tightens. With Lauren's statement, the investigation shifted. Phone data placed Ryan near the construction site at the time of Ethan's disappearance. Surveillance footage from nearby roads captured Ryan's car entering and leaving the area. Forensic teams searched the site. They found traces Ryan couldn't erase. Arrest. Ryan was arrested at his apartment early in the morning. He didn't resist. At the station, he sat quietly, hands folded, eyes unfocused. When Harper laid out the evidence, Ryan finally broke. "I didn't plan it," he said. "It wasn't supposed to happen." That was the first time he admitted anything had happened at all. Aftermath. Lauren learned of the arrest from the news. She collapsed onto the floor of the living room, surrounded by reminders of a life that no longer existed. Grief, guilt, and anger collided inside her. She had lost her husband, she had lost her friend, and she had played a role in both. Waiting for judgment. Ryan was held without bail. The charges were severe. The story spread beyond Maplewood, reshaped by headlines and speculation. Neighbors whispered, old friends distanced themselves. And at the center of it all was a simple truth no one wanted to face. This wasn't a crime born of hatred, it was born of closeness, of lines crossed too quietly, when the truth had nowhere left to hide. The trial began in late October, nearly a year after Ethan Miller disappeared. By then, Maplewood no longer felt like the town it once was. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Porch lights still came on at dusk, but the warmth behind them was gone. The Miller house stood quiet, its windows dark, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. For Lauren Miller, every day leading up to the trial felt unreal. She had replayed the same memories so many times that they lost their edges. Ethan standing in the doorway with his keys in his hand, Ryan laughing in the kitchen, pretending nothing was wrong, her own reflection in the mirror, convincing herself she was still the same person. She wasn't. The courtroom. The courtroom was packed on the first day. Reporters filled the back rows. Curious locals whispered quietly. Ethan's family sat together on one side, faces drawn tight with grief and anger. Lauren sat alone. Ryan Cole entered last, wearing a gray suit that hung loosely on him. He had lost weight in jail. His confidence, once effortless, had evaporated. He avoided looking at anyone. When he finally looked up, his eyes met Lauren's. She looked away. The prosecution's story. The prosecution did not rush. They laid out the story carefully, piece by piece, knowing the power of simplicity. A long friendship, a trusted marriage, an affair born of emotional neglect and proximity, a confrontation fueled by fear, and finally, a moment where control was lost. They presented cell phone records, security logs, and surveillance footage. The construction site was shown from multiple angles. Experts testified about the timeline, the lack of witnesses, the physical evidence Ryan could not erase. Most damaging of all was Ryan's own statement after arrest. "I didn't plan it. It wasn't supposed to happen." The jury listened closely. This was not a crime of mystery anymore. It was a crime of choices. Lauren's testimony. Lauren was called on the fourth day. Her walk to the stand felt endless. Her hands shook as she raised them to swear the oath. When she sat down, the courtroom seemed to shrink around her. She told the truth about her loneliness, about the emotional affair, about the lies she told herself. She did not excuse her actions. "I didn't intend for anyone to get hurt," she said, voice breaking. "But I did hurt him, and I live with that every day." The defense tried to frame her testimony as biased, driven by guilt and regret, but Lauren did not argue. "I'm not here to be forgiven," she said. "I'm here because the truth matters now." Ryan did not look at her. The defense. The defense's strategy was simple: panic, not murder. Ryan's lawyers argued that the confrontation escalated unexpectedly, that Ryan felt threatened, that fear, not intent, guided his actions. They emphasized Ryan's clean record, his long-standing friendship with Ethan, his immediate remorse. But remorse did not erase what happened afterwards. Ryan had not called for help. He had not reported the incident. He had lied repeatedly. Fear explained the moment. It did not explain the silence. The verdict. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they returned, the courtroom was silent enough to hear breathing. The foreperson stood. On the charge of second-degree murder, we find the defendant guilty. Lauren closed her eyes. Ryan exhaled slowly, as if he had been expecting it all along. Sentencing. Ryan was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. The judge's words were measured, unemotional. This crime was not premeditated, but it was avoidable. It was born of betrayal, secrecy, and cowardice. The defendant chose silence over responsibility. Ryan spoke once. "I wish I could take it back, every day." No one responded. After the trial, life did not return to normal. Lauren sold the house. She moved out of state, far from memories that refused to fade. She began therapy. She worked again, slowly rebuilding an identity separate from guilt. But some things could not be rebuilt. Ethan's absence followed her everywhere. At night, she replayed their final conversations, the moments where honesty could have changed everything, the choices she didn't make. She would carry those questions forever. Reflections. This was not a story about monsters. It was about ordinary people. A husband who trusted too deeply, a wife who felt unseen, a friend who crossed a line and couldn't step back. The crime did not begin with violence. It began with familiarity, with boundaries blurred slowly enough to feel harmless. And it ended the way many tragedies do, not with chaos, but with silence. Final thought. Sometimes the most dangerous betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who know your live, who know your routines, who know how to earn your trust. And sometimes the person who destroys your life is the one you never thought to keep at a distance.